Bror Fredrik coming at you with another video. On today's video, we are going to discuss the new pedestrian zone flow ordinance and what it means for you. Can you really get arrested taking a selfie on the strip? Who enacted it? Why is it being enacted? Stick around to the very end and I'll give you my opinion on why I think this ordinance is taking place. We'll discuss when is it taking place and the very, very vague details of it. And we'll do that right after this. And we're back. We're going to drive up and down the Las Vegas Strip a little bit while we discuss this. It is an overcast day. It's been raining for 3 days straight, which is kind of unusual. And we're driving on the beat up side of the strip, so definitely forgive the bumps and the noise. But we came here to discuss the new pedestrian zone flow ordinance. It has absolutely made national news. There's a lot of confusion, and quite frankly, there's a reason why there's so much confusion, because it is so entirely vague. So what exactly is the pedestrian zone flow ordinance? To put it simply, this is how the ordinance is currently written. They want to eliminate all stopping, standing, or engaging in any activity that causes others to stop on the pedestrian bridges, which we are going to pass under quite a few of them. Now, what exactly does that mean? Stopping? Yeah, self-explanatory. Standing? Self-explanatory. Engaging in activity that causes others to stop? Fairly self-explanatory. Okay, now, what are the fines and penalties involved should you engage in any stopping, standing, or engaging in activity that causes others to stop? Well, it can be a fine of $1,000 or 6 months in jail. Either way, it is also going to be a misdemeanor. And for those of you who don't know, just about everything here in Las Vegas is a misdemeanor. A traffic stop violation, you run a light, speeding, going through a stop sign, whatever it happens to be, is currently a misdemeanor here in Vegas. And that's been extremely problematic for a lot of people. And the reason is, if you get a misdemeanor, in case you didn't know, it could indeed have an effect on your ability to get certain jobs that require full disclosure. It can affect your ability to legally carry pew-pews, and there's a host of other things where you have to declare if you were ever convicted of a crime. And a misdemeanor falls in the category of being convicted of a crime. Now, again, $1,000 fine, 6 months in jail, and either way, you get the misdemeanor on your permanent record. Now, what are these zones? These zones encompass the bridges, you know, the pedestrian walkway bridges over the strip and connecting the properties, and the 20-foot perimeter on the entrances, which means the elevators, the escalators, and the stairs, which most of the escalators are stairs because, you know, 4 out of 5 are busted here in Las Vegas. So even at the bottoms or the sides, unless you're legitimately waiting to go up, it doesn't matter. 20 feet around and including the actual bridge itself is where this ordinance is gonna take place. Now, when pushed, the county says that it is to reduce crime. Their goal is to reduce crime. Okay, I get that. I understand that. Things happen on these pedestrian bridges. They have happened. I have seen them happen. But the problem is the way it's written. It's not directed at anyone. And when pressed, they will tell you that, no. It is not meant for tourists who stop and want to take a selfie. They even went so far as to say it is not for performers either to stop them from making a living. They didn't mention vendors. Now, I'm going to call bullshit on that towards the end of the video, but we'll get back to that. Their intent, in their own words, is to make it safe for people and to eliminate what they call crowd crush during major events. Now, that's a very telling statement, but let me tell you, this ordinance is written so vaguely, it applies to everyone, everywhere, at any time, and I believe there is a reason for that, but they claim it is not to stop the tourists from taking their selfies, nor the performers, perhaps the vendors, but we'll get into that in a bit. Crowd crush. What is crowd crush? We'll talk about that too. Now, there is buzz among free speech advocates and First Amendment rights people, and even the ACLU is getting involved, saying that people's ability to stop, talk, and engage with other people on these pedestrian bridges is no different from being on public property walking down the street. So it's impinging people's rights. I don't know about that. I think that's a little flimsy of an argument. These pedestrian bridges, for the most part, some of them indeed are public. A lot of them are not. Free speech issues do not apply, in certain cases, to privately owned areas, and some of these are between the casinos, some of them are not. It's the ACLU's opinion that people are going to suffer, that people are going to incur these fines, incur jail time, and have their rights infringed upon due to this. Now, they're also saying, well, you're trying to curb crime, but you're also creating something that is a crime, so the crime stats are going to go up. Again, flimsy argument, but that is the ACLU. So the question is, when is this going to take place? Well, it will take place. It is actually in effect now. It's just not being enforced. When is it officially going to start being enforced? Well, prior to the Super Bowl, I'm 100% sure, but the word from the powers that be is that it will start becoming enforceable and will be enforced once they put signs everywhere. So that's what Vegas needs, some more signs, and this is illegal, that's illegal. But yes, they do have to let people know about the ordinance. That means they're going to place signs on the bridges, at the foot of the bridges, at the middle of the bridges, all over, to notify people that they are not allowed to stop, stand, or engage in anything that causes other people to stop. Okay, great. So how is it going to be enforced? That has not been discussed yet. Are they going to put a patrol officer on each side of the bridge, maybe one in the middle? How is that actually going to be enforced? They already have cameras up there, so they could have one person monitor it like a speed trap, and then when you get to the other side, they stop you, issue your ticket or your $1,000 fine, or take you to jail, or whatever the case may be. But that is a manpower issue. Now, without doing this ordinance, they could have done the same thing. They could have placed a cop on every bridge, or 2 cops on every bridge, and just been done with it. No, they needed a specific ordinance for it, and I think I know the reason why. We'll discuss that in a bit. But just think about the manpower. We're going to go under another bridge right now. So how many officers is that per day? Like, I don't mind seeing a law enforcement presence on the Las Vegas Strip. You see it all the time. Something bad happens and they swoop in and there's a heavy presence, and then the public forgets about it and everything goes back to normal, and you never see an officer anywhere except inside the casinos protecting their money, but not protecting the people outside. So, manpower issues. So how many bridges are there? I don't know. You can Google it, but my guess is 20 plus or minus. So what, 40 officers are going to man these bridges just to make sure that people aren't taking selfies. So they claim that it's not to stop people from taking selfies. It's not to stop performers. It's not to stop anything. Just criminals. What, do criminals walk around with a sign on their forehead say, look at me, I'm a criminal? Now, Here's the problem that I have with it. I'm okay, like I said, with a law enforcement presence, even though my tax dollars are going to support this effort. Oh, these streets are so bad. Oh my God. The other side's nice where the F1 racetrack was, and we'll talk about F1 in a minute. However, the problem that arises with this ordinance is it does not say it. So even though they're saying, hey, feel free to take the selfie, but keep it moving. Feel free to take your pictures, but keep it moving. That is written nowhere in this ordinance. It clearly says no stopping, no standing, or no engaging in anything that causes anyone else to stop. There's no exceptions in there. It does not say selfies are okay as long as you get them done within 64 seconds. It doesn't say that performers are okay as long as you're moving. It says nothing about that. So are you going to take the word of the man and just be like, okay, they say that's not the heart. They say it's not the heart of the ordinance, but it can be enforced. It's up to the officer. It's up to the whim of whichever way the winds are blowing, whether they want to enforce it or not, because there is no exceptions for anything. Not for selfies, not for, group pictures, not for wedding pictures, not for, your girls' night out pictures or your bachelor party pictures. There's no exceptions written in. So I am not taking the word of a bunch of bureaucrats for how it's going to be enforced. If that's the heart of it, if that's the intent of it, it should be in writing. And currently it is not in writing. That means that if you stop to take a selfie, you can go to jail for 6 months, get a $1,000 fine, and have a misdemeanor on your record, which will affect your ability to do a lot of things in this world for taking a selfie, for hanging out with your boys and taking a picture. Because I don't care what they say about the intent of it. It's what is in writing that matters, because it will be selectively enforced just like every other vague rule, law, and ordinance that we face in this world. You know it, and I know it. If you trust the man, good on you. I don't. And the man, not being the law enforcement officers per se, but they can definitely selectively enforce if they feel you're an asshole for any reason and you happen to be taking a selfie, or if you're a little drunk and taking a selfie, yeah, they might enforce it. There's nothing to stop them, regardless of what they say about the heart of the issue. Why do I think they're doing it? To me, it's pretty clear. I could be wrong, but my batting average is pretty good when predicting and pontificating on these things. I could sum it up real easy with one letter and one number: F1. Now, F1, why do you say that, Bror Fredrik? Well, that's simple. Because I was here for F1, I attended F1, I bitched about F1, but I went, I enjoyed the race, I figured I'd get my money's worth out of all the aggravation I suffered for a year with the traffic. It was a great race, pretty much, but what I saw surrounding the entire F1 event was the following. They built cages inside the pedestrian walkways, literal cages that were actually kind of cagey and dangerous. They were like chicken coops inside. I mean, they had everything but freaking barbed wire on them, that you could not get close to the edge, that you could not see anything, because originally they put up these like plastic sheets on the glass to obscure the view, and people started pulling that crap down immediately. They blamed it on the locals, but really, come on now. People were just peeling it off, so they decided to build cages inside these pedestrian bridges that we're about to pass under another one right now. Let me slide on over this way. unfreaking believable. They felt dangerous. They felt trapped. They felt awkward. Like I said, everything but barbed wire. And that was to keep people from looking at the race. Now, if you were a pedestrian walking along the strip, we all know, you saw in my live streams, there were barricades, there were black curtains, so you could not see. Not only that, but they had security guards about every 10 feet telling people, move along, move along, move along, no stopping, no stopping, you cannot stand here. What does that sound like? Stopping, standing, engaging in an activity, causing others to stop? Does that sound familiar? So they basically passed a law, an ordinance to enforce F1's rules. So clear that the town bent the knee to a corporation. See, even though they had a cage inside these pedestrian walkways, you could kind of perceive the race. You could hear it. You could sort of see the blur of the cars go by. So there were people on these bridges who were listening, God forbid. They were seeing blurs of cars go by. They still were able to kind of enjoy the spectacle that is F1 from the bridges, despite their best efforts to keep people away. It just became throngs. People were also standing on the stairs and the escalators, and there was nothing that anyone could do about it, and those people did indeed get to kind of watch F1. I mean, I was up in the stands, but they kind of got to watch F1 by standing there. F1 did not like that, so I'm sure they went to the city and said, make this a permanent deal. We do not want people on these bridges. We do not want people on the escalators. We do not want people seeing, hearing, or smelling our race for free. The town capitulated, as it always does with these huge corporations, and to protect their image and their bankroll. And sure enough, we now have an ordinance that can be selectively enforced when, where, and how the powers that be deem necessary. So maybe they won't stop you taking that selfie when you come next week. Maybe they will. Maybe they will arrest all the people trying to see F1, give them all misdemeanors, but there is nothing in this ordinance to stop the powers that be from enforcing it whenever and however they selectively choose. And it's this man's opinion. It's all about F1. It's not about public safety. I mean, public safety it's a good excuse. It's a good thing to put out there. Don't get me wrong. I'm all about the public safety, but this is all about the safety of F1's profits. Bottom freaking line. And let me know what you think in the comments. Are you for it? Are you against it? All the good stuff. And while I have your attention, I'm going to invite you to like, share, subscribe, and hit that bell button to get notified when I do another video, and that's at least 5 times a week. And don't forget to drop the 9% word of the day in the comments, because statistically proven 9% of all my viewers stick around to the very end, and that helps the channel grow, and I do appreciate it. And on that note, Bror Fredrik out.